In today's video, I'll be telling you about some of the best running workouts to improve your 10k time. Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh, a medical student and triathlete based in London. On this channel, we talk all things running and triathlon, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, consider hitting that subscribe button. Yes, in today's episode, we're talking all about 10Ks and what workouts you can do to hit that next PB and absolutely smash your next race. Having just done a 10K last weekend, I did the London winter run. It was absolutely amazing. There's so many people. It's one of the biggest 10Ks in the UK. And having got a PB there, I think that I'm in a position right now to be able to tell you all what I've been doing and what I think the best workouts are to improve that 10k time. 10k races are deceptively difficult. It's not an exceptionally long distance when you compare it to a half marathon or a full marathon. However, to beat your PB, you're often going to have to run really quite fast for quite a long time. And so being comfortable at a higher pace for a longer period of time is exactly what we want to achieve here when we are doing our 10k workouts. In your 10k training plan, I recommend doing some shorter intervals and some longer work, both above and at your goal 10k pace, as this will make you really well prepared for that eventual 10k. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 3 of the best running workouts. I'm going to tell you how they'll improve your 10k, how to do them, and how you can improve on them week on week. Our first workout that we're going to talk about today is the tempo run. Now this is an all-time classic when it comes to running workouts. Whether you're training for 10Ks, whether you're training for half marathons or even marathons, this is going to be your bread and butter of real key running sessions. I would aim to do a tempo run at least every other week, and if you are more experienced, maybe even every week. Although, keep in mind that you don't want to overtrain yourself and make your other workouts less good. Now, there are a number of different ways that you can do a tempo run, but I'm going to talk about 2 main ones today. We're going to talk about continuously building through a tempo run, or doing it as more of an interval session. And you can choose either of these depending on how you're feeling. Let's talk about what I like to refer to as the continuous build kind of runs. This starts, as most runs do, with a 10 or 15 minute warm-up, and then the main body of this is going to be continuous tempo work, aiming for between 6 and 8 kilometers of total tempo work. The first kilometer, or the first 5 or so minutes, should be done at around zone 3 to your half marathon at pace. So fast, but not incredibly fast, something you really could maintain for quite a while. And as each kilometer goes on, increase that pace up to and exceeding your goal 10k pace. This means that by the end, you're running faster than your goal 10k pace. And the aim is to get this continuous block to be an average pace of around that 10k pace that you want to be running for your next race. This means that although you were running slightly slower at the start and running slightly faster at the end, you'll be well prepared to have a nice negative split, and you're almost simulating what a really good race would be like. And the other type of 10k tempo run that we're going to do is the interval session kind of tempo run. So again, we're starting with a 10 to 15 minute warm up, and we're going to be doing intervals between 2 and 4 kilometers long, and where you go within that is kind of depending on your fitness level and how you feel on the day. And aim to increase the pace of each interval as the session goes on. So the first interval should again be slightly below your goal 10k pace, and your last interval should be slightly faster than your goal 10k pace. And for this session, take about 50% of the time of each interval as rest to make sure that you're fully recovered to really get high quality intervals in this session. And I would aim to do around 6 to 8 kilometers again of hard work in those intervals, depending on how experienced you are. But just make sure that you're not doing too much, as you don't want to negatively affect your next workout, of course. On to our next workout, and we'll keep in the theme of intervals, and let's talk about an intervals or a track session. Now this might seem slightly weird to suggest for a 10k, as you're going to be doing intervals that are so much shorter than a 10k distance. However, by doing shorter intervals where you're running at your max for that given distance will help both your running power and your running efficiency. 2 things which you're really going to need over that 10k distance, especially towards the end where you're feeling tired, you're feeling fatigued. Those fast kind of muscle twitch fibers are really going to help when you're in that situation. And when you're doing these shorter intervals, really focus on a fast cadence. You should have a really fast turnover, as that's something you want to be able to replicate in the race. For the 10k distance, I would recommend intervals anywhere from 200 to 800 meters. Anything over that, you're likely to be going more of a tempo run, and that's something that you should be really focusing on and doing as a separate session. I'd aim to run all the intervals as fast as you can and continue to do intervals until the pace begins to significantly drop below where the first few intervals were averaging. This tends to be between 2 and 4 kilometers of volume for those running intervals. Between intervals, walk or jog just to keep yourself moving. However, really let that heart rate down. Make sure that you are fully recovered in between each interval, as you want to be hitting each one really fresh, making sure the quality of each one is really important. It's less about how many you do, but ensuring you're running all the ones you do run at as fast a pace as you can. Our final workout for this video is another running classic, and that is the hill reps. I'm sure everyone's done them at some point, but they are often neglected, especially by myself. This session is deceptively simple, but it can absolutely destroy your legs. So make sure that you have a good rest before and a good rest after doing this session. The number of reps and the way you do this session, the kind of pace that you're going to be doing, will really depend on the hill it is. So obviously take a little bit of discretion. However, the hills that you want to do running reps on generally fall into one of two categories. We've got short, really steep hills, and we've got longer, slightly less steep hills. For those shorter, steeper hills, we're going to be doing more reps at a higher pace. However, of course, the distance will be shorter for each rep, so we're going to end up at roughly the same distance as those long hill reps. When it comes to those short hills, make sure you're going absolutely full gas up. You should be almost keeling over by the time you get to the top. Then when you get to the top, turn back around and either walk or slow jog back down to the bottom, making sure you are really fully recovered for each interval. As with the track intervals, making sure you are fully recovered means that you're gonna be doing a really good quality of each interval. It's less about that quantity again. I'd aim for a pace of around your 5k pace, depending on exactly how steep that hill is, and you should be covering between 80 and 100 meters tops for these intervals. Because they're so short, it really does mean that you can go absolutely full gas up. And similarly with the track intervals, once you see the pace kind of drop off and you're not quite hitting the times that you were at the start for your given distance, then I would cut the session there. You don't want to be overdoing it, because if you're slowly not hitting those times, you're going to be over fatiguing yourself and you'll end up having another workout that isn't quite as good as it could be. If your hill is slightly longer but less steep, these sessions are also incredibly effective. You can do these sessions at a slightly lower pace than you would if it was really steep, because you're going to be running for longer, and you'll also be doing fewer reps to cover the same amount of distance. If you're running around 200 meters up a not super steep hill, then I'd aim for something slightly faster or a little bit faster than your 10k goal pace. This means that by the time you come to run that 10k, and I presume it'll be mostly flat, that running flat at the same pace is going to feel so much easier than those hill reps you were doing a few weeks before. And again, do as many of these reps as you can before you start to see that pace drop. And don't be afraid to cut a session like this short. It's much better to be fully recovered for the next one than have really overdone it and have another slightly less optimal workout. For recovery on these ones, take a slow jog back down the hill once you've reached the top. Although you don't have to be fully recovered for these ones, because your heart rate isn't going to be going quite as high. So you can kind of let it come down back to zone 2-ish, maybe even zone 3, before you run back up again. This will also mimic slightly more of a proper 10k race. And that's it for this video. We've got 3 amazing 10k workouts for you to try. We've got the tempo run, we've got track intervals, and we've got hill reps. Let me know how you get along with these workouts down in the comments. And if you've got another workout that you think I should try when preparing for my next 10k, leave it down in the comments below and I will let you know how I get on with it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting subscribe and that like button, and I will see you all in the next one.